has created unhealthy competition. These are children and youth who do not have experience, and we cannot allow them to become lost because of the limitations of the system. That is why we must broaden the opportunities available for further education through both the state education system as well as through the private. Universities must also offer more degrees, diplomas, and other higher educational qualifications that are in high demand by businesses. If the government as well as the private sector can ensure that a high standard of education is provided by local universities, it may even be possible for us to start attracting international students.
Now, 12 students suspected to have been involved in a clash that broke out at the University of Colombo have been arrested. The clash broke out while the enrollment of new students was taking place. Today's segment focuses on the subject of ragging at universities that has resurfaced again.
The clash had broken out at the cafeteria of the university over an incident of ragging on the 8th of this month. Second-year students at the university had inhumanely ragged the first-year students during the past few days at the university premises and at a students' hostel located in Boralla. Eyewitnesses of the incident said that a third-year student who opposed this ragging had been assaulted the day before yesterday. The victim of the assault suffered severe injuries to his ear and continues to receive treatment at the Colombo National Hospital. A complaint was lodged at the Cinnamon Gardens police station, and a group of students were summoned to the police station this afternoon. The Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Chandrika N. Vijayratna, said that 12 students have been arrested in connection to the incident.
I think any action taken by the government to stop ragging at state universities can be considered as a justified course of action. We have continued to warn students that such a situation would arise. Ragging is used within universities as a means to achieve certain political goals. Ragging is not the only way that students' politics can be organized. Ragging depicts the level of which leftist political parties in the country has fallen to. Therefore, the so-called leftist parties should stop ragging. They should force their student circles to stop ragging.
Against a backdrop where students who enrolled at the universities for the academic year 2019-2020 are at risk of being subject to ragging, a father of a student who was selected to enter university this year spoke to News First.
I am a parent who is saddened and concerned regarding the security of my child. These innocent children entered university after suffering a lot. Against such a backdrop, where we speak about national security and the security of the general public, I believe the authorities of the universities should act more diligently to ensure the safety of most talented students in the country who enter state university. Also, I request the President to focus his attention on this matter and work towards eliminating ragging at universities.
This issue has captured the attention of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Addressing the National Conference of the Youth Front of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, the President expressed these views.
2,000 students who qualified to enter university after passing their advanced level examination do not enter state university because of ragging. We cannot let this happen. We need to think about these matters. We need to change the system at least now. We have a good plan for the youth of our country. We will work towards achieving that.
ඉදිරි ගමන යන්නට අපි ළඟ හොඳ සලස්මක් තිබෙනවා. අපි ඒට කැප වෙලා ඉන්නවා.
Now taking a look at the latest developments of the ongoing tensions between Iran and the US. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the possibility a missile downed the passenger airplane had not been ruled out, but it has not been confirmed as of yet.
The Ukrainian airline crashed on the 8th of January, killing at least 176 people on board. Victims included 82 Iranians, 63 Canadians and 11 Ukrainians, as well as nationals from Sweden, the UK, Afghanistan and Germany. The Ukrainian government said it was investigating reports of debris from a Russian-made Tor M1 missile. The Tor, also called the SA-15 Gauntlet by NATO, is a short-range point defense system that is designed to be mobile and lethal against targets at altitudes up to 6,000 meters and at a range of 12 kilometers. Reports say that a surface-to-air missile brought the airline down in Tehran. US media has speculated that the timing of the crash suggests that the plane might have been mistaken for a US warplane as Iran prepared for a possible US retaliation for the strikes. US President Donald Trump said yesterday that he had suspicions about what happened to the plane. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau commented on the supposed airstrike at a press conference.
We have intelligence from multiple sources, including our allies and our own intelligence. The evidence indicates that the plane was shot down by an Iranian surface-to-air missile. This may well have been unintentional. This new information reinforces the need for a thorough investigation into this matter.
Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison cited intelligence reports that showed a Ukrainian commercial flight was shot down in Tehran days ago and reiterated a travel ban to Iraq. Ali Abedzadeh, head of Iran's Civil Aviation Department, has rejected claims that Tehran unintentionally hit the airliner with a surface-to-air missile, saying it was impossible due to close coordination between Iran's Air Defense and Civil Aviation Department. Iran's ambassador to the United Nations, Majid Takht Ravanchi, addressing the United Nations Security Council, spoke about the issue.
Mr. President, I'm here today to deliver a statement on behalf of His Excellency Mr. Zarif, whose visa was denied by the United States in contravention of the headquarters agreement. The world is at a crossroads. At the end of monopolies on power, one unhinged regime is frantically clamoring to turn back time.
Iran has invited both Ukraine and the Boeing company to take part in the plane crash investigation. In the United States, President Donald Trump made the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani a theme for his re-election campaign, drawing cheers from thousands at a rally when he said the death saved lives and delivered American justice. However, anti-war protesters hit the streets who are worried about US military action in the Middle East will lead to another endless war with casualties on all sides. The US House of Representatives passed a resolution to stop President Donald Trump from further military action against Iran. The Democrat-controlled House voted 224 to 194, mostly along party lines, sending the War Powers resolution to the Senate. Oil edged further above $65 a barrel as concessions about a possible renewed spike in Middle East tensions outweighed rising US inventories and other signs of ample supply.
3 high-ranking officials are set to arrive in the island on the 13th of this month.
Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asian Affairs Alice Wells, Chinese Foreign Minister and State Councillor Wang Yi, and Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Lavrov will be visiting Sri Lanka on the 13th of January. In a statement, US Department of Justice said from January 13th through the 14th, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asian Affairs Alice Wells will meet with senior government officials and members of civil society to discuss a range of bilateral and regional issues, including shared interests in a free and open Indo-Pacific region that fosters prosperity, democracy, justice and human rights. Visiting Chinese Counselor and Foreign Minister of China Wang Yi will have a courtesy call on Minister of Foreign Relations Dinesh Gunawardena at the ministry premises on the same day. Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Lavrov will meet with the Minister of Foreign Relations Dinesh Gunawardena to hold a bilateral meeting. During the visit, Minister Lavrov will also call on Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at the Temple Trees. Meanwhile, concluding his first overseas official visit, Minister of Foreign Relations Dinesh Gunawardena held high-level talks with his counterparts from the Ministries of External Affairs, Skills Development and Entrepreneurship, as well as Labour and Employment of the Government of India. Issuing a release, the ministry said the minister held cordial and fruitful discussions with Indian Minister of External Affairs Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar on a wide range of bilateral issues, including investment, security, fisheries, development assistance and ongoing projects, tourism, education and cultural cooperation, among others.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has requested the Attorney General to conduct an investigation into the recently released telephone conversations between several members of the judiciary and MP Ranjan Ramanayaka. The following views were expressed by the Secretary of the Bar Association Attorney at Law Kaushalya Navaratna.
The President of the Bar Association has made a request to the Attorney General to launch an investigation into this matter immediately. We held a special meeting yesterday. All members of the Executive Board unanimously decided to meet with the Chief Justice and members of the Judicial Services Commission and to further discuss this issue. Because this revelation points at a loophole within the legal and judicial system of the country. Meanwhile, the Police Media Division in a statement rejected all claims leveled against the police regarding the circulation of the phone recordings on social media. The statement further added the police has not provided any recordings to third parties and have been sealed with the right thumbprint. The statement further said those who were in possession of the hardware containing such phone recordings for a long period of time bear complete responsibility in this regard.
Meanwhile, several organizations, including the National Alliance for Lawyers Association, expressed their views about the voice recordings at a media briefing today.
WikiLeaks එළිදරව්වෙන් පස්සේ රංජන් ලීක්ස් එළිදරව් තමයි මං හිතන්නේ මේ සිද්ධ වෙච්ච හොඳම එළිදරව් විදිහට අපි සලකන්නේ.
I think that the Ranjan leaks incident is the biggest revelation that we have made after WikiLeaks. If someone is trying to stop voice recordings from being made public, there is definitely a recording of his voice in there too. We asked the Judicial Service Commission to remove these judges from office immediately. We, as well as the general public, have the question as to why the judges aren't suspended, when in the past judges were suspended for taking a certain photograph, being in possession of an elephant calf, and for delays in handing down a judgment. Therefore, not only Dubinda Silva, the cases of all the accused who were affected by this should be reviewed by an independent panel of judges. Not only Shani Apesekara, even Judge Padmi Ranawaka can be sentenced to death for sentencing a person to death on false evidence.
State Minister of Investment Promotions Keheli Rambukwala addressed a rally in Mahapatana in Kandy today.
They claim that the 19th Amendment will ensure that law is enforced in the proper manner. They claim the judiciary is independent. We now see how independent the judiciary is. We see how phone calls were made to judges and the attempts made to influence the judiciary. They are now trying to dump the entire blame on Ranjan Ramanayaka. They will launch a disciplinary inquiry soon and suspend him from the UNP. They think they can wash all their dirt through Ranjan Ramanayaka. This will not happen.
Meanwhile, Vasantha Samarasinghe convened a media briefing in Anuradhapura today.
The hype created due to MP Ranjan Ramanayaka's phone recordings has now succeeded the central bank pawn scam. The script of this play is being drafted. In a few more days, all this hype due to the phone recordings will fade away, just like the central bank pawn scam. Why? Because there must be legal provisions in place to punish MP Ranjan Ramanayaka. Those engaged in corruption in the country must be punished. They have now started to hear cases via media. In the coming days, something new will be released. If there is any suspicion of flaw regarding the Judiciary Service Commission and other law enforcement agencies must intervene and address this issue. We urge the government to protect the public and ensure perpetrators and criminals will not be released.
මේ හඬපට යටතේම මේවා යට කරලා බැඳුම් කර හොරු නිදහස් කරලා මිනිමරුව නිදහස් කරලා හොරු නිදහස් කරලා ජනතාව හිරේ දාන්න එපා කියන කාරණෙත් අපි ආණ්ඩුවට කියනවා.
මහින්දානන්ද අලුත්ගමගේ මහත්තයලා ඉස්සර කියපු කතා නෙමෙයි දැන් පරස්පරේව කියනවා. දැන් කියනවා මේක හංගලා මේක විමර්ශනය කරන්න ඕනේ මේක රහසිගතව තියන්න ඕනේ මේකට කමිටු දාන්න ඕනේ.
Mahindanand Alutgamage is now making contradictory statements. They now say this matter must be investigated and confidentiality must be maintained in this regard. They say committees must be appointed to look into this. There is no point in appointing committees or commissions now. Everything has been revealed. This will no longer be a matter that can be dumped on Ranjan Ramanayaka in the future. Though Kehelia Rambukwella says this matter must be addressed carefully, there is nothing more to protect. Everything has been revealed. Against a backdrop where the cost of living has skyrocketed and when the government is trying to bring in the MCC and the fuel pricing formula and when the government is finding it hard to deliver on the promises they made, they are trying to divert the attention of the public with such drama.
මේවා මගාරින් උත්සාහ කළා මේවා මේ පීලි පනින්න උත්සාහ කරලා තියෙනවා. දැන් ඒවා
අල රුපියල් 90යි 85යි පිටකොටුවේ.
Potatoes are between 80 to 85 rupees in Fort. The prices of vegetables are skyrocketing. They are trying to fill the stomachs of the people by feeding them these voice recordings. They are trying to continue these false shows with voice recordings until March without looking into the daily issues of the people. They are trying to deceive the people. They have forgotten about the central bank bond scam. They have forgotten about Arjuna Mahendran. They have forgotten all of this. So we would like to say enough with these voice recordings. Feed the people of this country. Go to the market and see if the tax concessions that you gave are being enjoyed by the people.
මිනිසුන්ට හම්බෙනවද කියලා බලන්න කියලා අපි මේ අවස්ථාවේ දිල්ලා සිටිනවා.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has appointed a presidential commission of inquiry to investigate incidents of political persecution conducted through the Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division and the Bribery Commission between the 8th of January 2015 and the 16th of November 2019. Retired Supreme Court Justice Upali Aberatna has been appointed as the chairman of the commission. The other members of the commission include retired Court of Appeal Justice Daya Chandra Sirijatilaka and retired Inspector of Police Chandra Fernando. The commission is tasked with looking into improper use of power and influences by third parties on the Bribery Commission, the Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division or the Police Special Investigations Units. The extraordinary gazette notification bearing the signature of the Secretary to the President P.B. Jayasundara states that a report on an interim report should be submitted within 6 months.
In more local news, it has been decided to convene a special meeting on the 21st of January to reach a final decision over the publication of the Hathe Apipotha. Minister of Education Dallas Alha Perima and the Minister of Health Pavitra Vanyarachi will attend the meeting. The decision was reached after a joint meeting of the Parliamentary Sectoral Oversight Committee on Education and Human Resources Development and the Sectoral Oversight Committee on Women and Gender. The joint meeting held at the Parliamentary Complex was attended by the Mahasangha, medical experts, university professors and academics, officers of the National Child Protection Authority and officials of the Ministry of Education. Many of the experts who spoke at the meeting pointed out that adolescent children should be given sexual education and presented information on a number of studies conducted by the Ministry of Health and universities. The Government Information Department said a proposal was made to publish and distribute among school students the Hathe Apipotha and added that a final decision will be reached on the 21st of this month. It was also decided to invite the members of the Mahasangha who criticized the book to attend the meeting as well.
Now, a live recording of another phase of the Gam and the Pradeshya Mandapaya, which focuses on the hardships faced by the rural villages and draw the attention of the relevant authorities for over 10 years, was held near the causeway in the Maharagama village in Athiliwaba, Vellavaya.
Around 1,000 farming families in Athiliwaba are battered day and night by the human-elephant conflict for a prolonged period of time. Having no ownership for their lands is another major grievance. Not only us, even the neighboring villages face many difficulties from wild elephants. Our crops such as peanuts, cashew and sugarcane are destroyed. From the day we cultivate to the day we harvest, it is a tremendous struggle.
This is the fire I set up last night. The Maharagama and surrounding areas face the wild elephant conflict for almost 15 years. Land has been sold to businessmen and they have laid huge electric fences and fortified themselves. Due to this, elephants have nowhere to go, so they enter into villages with no protection.
Another phase of the Gamma at the Pradeshi Mandap here was launched with the objective of addressing these issues. Subject Minister S.M. Chandrasena, Director General of the Civil Defence Force Rear Admiral Ananda Pires, Monoragala District Secretary TDS Padmakula Surya, Wildlife Director General Chandana Surya Bandara, Vallavaya Divisional Secretary WISK Ratnaika and many other officials were present at the event.
Empowering the youth of our country, the Gammat, the V4's second initiative to plant saplings will be held centering the Alla mountain range tomorrow. Sri Lanka Army, Alla Divisional Secretariat, Alla Pradesh Sabha, the Wildlife Conservation Department and many other state institutions along with Gammat, the V4s have joined their hands in making this initiative successful.
And up next is our investigative segment, Action TV.
The Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka was established by an act of parliament to ensure the protection of Buddhism and the Pali language. Today, the university marked an important day in its calendar. For a second time, a branch of the sacred Jayashree Mahabodhi was planted at the university premises. Planting a branch of the sacred Bodhi is a good deed, but just as the branch is planted, protecting and nurturing the sacred tree is the duty and responsibility of the administration of the university. The Venerable Thera of the university, who serves as a lecturer, had to bring this to the attention of the administration, as the administration, through its conduct, has proved that they do not have any regard to the value of a branch of the sacred Jayashree Mahabodhi. Action TV revealed details of this incident on the 28th of November last year. A branch of the Jayashree Mahabodhi that was planted at the university premises 7 years ago had been completely uprooted, and the administration of the university had no clue on who did this or how it happened. The police too have abandoned continuing further investigations on a complaint lodged regarding the uprooting of this tree. A few hours before President Gotabaya Rajapaksa assumed office, this branch of the Jayashree Mahabodhi that was planted at the university 7 years ago had been completely uprooted. No one knows who cut this tree down and no one knows why this was done. What was their intention? No one has even looked into this. There has been no investigation. The second branch of the Jayashree Mahabodhi was planted today at a different location from which the first branch was planted at. Although the location was changed, the reputation of the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka will forever be stained as a site unsafe for planting a branch of the sacred Jayashree Mahabodhi. Isn't finding out information on the person who uprooted this tree and his motive as important as ensuring the longevity of the Buddha Sasana and the Pali language? Secretary to the Ministry of Higher Education, this is over to you.
Meanwhile, the former governor of the Western Province, Azad Saleh, testified before the Presidential Commission appointed to probe the April 21st attacks yesterday.
The former governor testified before the commission for over 5 hours. He spoke to the media thereafter. Hemasiri and Pujith have been arrested in connection to the incident as if they were the people who planted the bombs. Where did this originate from? Which government paid for this? Who is actually behind this? Which country aided and abetted this? These are very serious questions. Find out these details and punish all of them. I clearly state that all communities should be united. That day, a live program was aired and the army was betrayed. They said that the army conducted a raid and was now proceeding to raid another location. When the extremists received this information, they thought the army is coming for them, so they all should die. If that didn't happen, we would have been able to arrest all of them.
Moving on to some news overseas, India's Supreme Court has asked the government to review the suspension of internet services in Indian-administered Kashmir within a week.
The region has not had access to internet for more than 150 days, the longest such shutdown in India. The government suspended internet, mobile phone and landline services in Kashmir before stripping it of partial autonomy on the 5th of August. The court was responding to a clutch of petitions challenging the restrictions. Justice N.V. Ramana, reading out the judgment, said, quote, "Complete curb of internet must be considered by the state only as an extraordinary measure," unquote, adding that access to the internet was part of the right of freedom of speech and expression guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. The three-judge bench also ruled that the indefinite suspension of internet services is impermissible and such restrictions can, quote-unquote, be temporary only.
Now, the third and the final T20 between Sri Lanka and India is currently underway in Pune, Maharashtra, with India setting Sri Lanka a mammoth target of 202 runs. Sri Lanka were 39 runs for the loss of 4 wickets at the end of 7 overs a short while ago. Indian openers Lokesh Rahul and Shikhar Dhawan set up 97 runs for the opening wicket. India scored 201 runs for the loss of 6 wickets at the end of their 20 overs. Lakshan Sandakan took 3 wickets. Sri Lanka batting is at 47 for the loss of 4 wickets. Now taking a look at more sports news. 35-year-old Matilda Carlson, athlete representing Sri Lanka, has made a historic qualification for this year's Olympic Games in Tokyo. She spoke to the media today.
My goal is definitely to take myself into the final round, hopefully a medal. Well, for me, definitely the target, the goal is to reach to be on the top 100 on the world ranking. This year I started being 1,200 something, and I'm now 280 on the world ranking list, and that is a really big step for a rider to almost gain 1,000 steps on the ranking. Hopefully, if it continues like this, I hope to be in the top 100 next year.
Let's now have a look at some of the matches played this evening in the 6th week of the Interclub Rugby League.
It was an all-forces clash in Valisara with Navy hosting Army, and it was a nail-biting match as the spectators were treated for a 10-try fest. The match ended with the closest of margins, with host Navy sealing the game in the final minute. Final score: Army 34, Navy 35. Meanwhile, at Ratmalana, it was one-way traffic with police running riot against Air Force in their own den. The Cops were dominant right throughout the game and clinched a well-deserved 36 points to 15 win. Tomorrow, unbeaten Kandy will take on CHNFC at the Glamour Racecourse, and Havis are set to take on traditional rivals CRNFC at Havelock Park.
And with that note, it's a wrap of primetime news for today. And remember to stay ahead. You need to stay close to News First. For that, just simply log on to our website. That is www.newsfirst.lk. I'm Tarushi Kumar Singh.
And I'm Yuki Pasha. Take care and good night.